In a world where rubber meets the road, where horsepower meets innovation, and where passion fuels adventure, comes a brand new automotive podcast that will rev your engines and ignite your curiosity. Welcome to Car Chronicles. Hello, listeners. Welcome to the first ever episode of the Car Chronicles, where we're going to dive into living with vintage cars, living with anything, any automobile really. It's going to be a wide range of how do you actually choose the right car that you're going to do, how you're going to choose the right service point, how you are going to choose anything that is to detail about your vehicle. Now, one of the most ask questions that have been asked over time, because this is kind of a podcast that is going to be helping the car community, not necessarily the car guys or the car girls. It's going to be just helping the car community to figure out whatever you need to know about a vehicle, and maybe some of the signs when a vehicle is malfunctioning, or some things whereby you just need uh, to have a simple fix when you don't really need to go to the garage, because some of these things, it just so happens that simple knowledge about a vehicle can help you just go a step further and help you maybe move from a rough spot that you've been in to maybe the service center that can really help you really diagnose your vehicle. So just to dive in, one of the most asked questions that I have been getting over time with my colleagues and my friends is, how do you get to know about cars so much? I mean, how do you get to know your car so well that even if it's a vintage, even if it is brand new, you can trust that you can drive it for 5, 10 years without any issue, any major issue to the engine, to the electrical, to the interior? How do you get to know these things to actually sometimes do it yourself, or sometimes just know when I go to the service center or the garage, if you so to speak, I know what exactly I'm looking for, and I'm not cheated, and I'm not just given substandard work. And simply put, I do a lot of research in any of the businesses that you're going to do, in any of the things in life that you're going to do. There's going to be a lot of research done. I mean, even with entrepreneurs, they do a lot of research on how to make money. They do a lot of research on how to actually keep the money flowing. So same thing here. In order for you to bond with your vehicle, to actually have a good time with your vehicle, whether be it new, be it a vintage, be it second hand, at that, in order for you to actually enjoy your vehicle without major damage to it or being cheated in the long run, you have to do your research. For example, if you own maybe a Toyota Land Cruiser or a Toyota Primo, whichever case may be, if you buy this vehicle, things I would recommend when you buy the vehicle, first and foremost, get to know, maybe from a mechanic, maybe from the internet. Google has all these things. Get to know what type of engine is in this vehicle. The type of engine really solves a lot of issues, because most times, for example, if you're buying replacement parts like maybe engine or cylinder head gaskets, or maybe the alternator that charges the battery, if you're buying all these replacement parts, they are going to still ask you what type of engine are you running. It won't be it really won't be as common as you think. You mean you can just tell, I'm driving a Primo or I'm driving a Land Cruiser TX. You would think it would be common, like, yeah, this is exactly what I'm driving. But for example, in a Land Cruiser, the Safari version has like 4 variations of an engine. The TX also has 2 variations of engine. Now, if you're driving a Subaru, and let's say you're driving a Subaru, the 2004 model, and now you're driving a 2004 model, and you would think it is the same as maybe the 2010, because, well, they look alike. They kind of, the engines are EJ20s. Yeah. So if you know it's an EJ20, there are also additional things to that engine that you may need to know. So basically, know the engine you're running in that vehicle. That is the first step. That is the very first step. Know the engine that you're running, the type of engine, and what makes it unique from the other, let's say the other Land Cruiser, the other Primo, the other Subaru. Make sure you know what makes it unique, because when you're buying replacement parts for these vehicles, you need to know your engine. That is the first step. The second step is, technically, if your vehicle breaks down, and not panicking is really recommended, because if you start panicking and you tend to do the wrong thing by just calling any random mechanic. They may not be professional, and they just want to make a quick buck, really. They may just come and tell you something that is actually not even faulty, but because, well, you've panicked, you want to leave the road, they'll just eat your money. Make sure you walk around. Let's say your vehicle is not stopping properly. This is, I speak from my personal experience. A friend of mine had just replaced brakes of recent. They just replaced all the brakes, and then after a trip, the car stopped. Like it had the brakes malfunctioned. So in that moment, we thought about calling a mechanic. However, the thing is, when I went down to diagnose all the corners of those four brakes, they were okay. The brake hose were okay, the brake shoes were okay. So technically, it just left one thing: the master cylinder. When I went to the master cylinder, it was already leaking from the back. That just showed it was malfunctioning. But if we had called a mechanic and we had spent an hour there as he was diagnosing, and he's not a professional, he could have just said, you know what, I could have just wasted time. I would say wasted time, and would have charged us a lot of money to just diagnose something we could have seen with our own two eyes. Sometimes you just have to use the visual elements that you're looking at. Like, if maybe the brake hose were leaking, we would have seen it. If the brake hose were leaking, we would have seen a brake hose leaking when he puts his foot down to brake. We would have seen that. So sometimes just use that. Just walk around your vehicle, just get to know what exactly, where is maybe the problem coming from. Just at least try before you call a professional. Sometimes it's just something, maybe if a vehicle shuts down, sometimes it's just a loose terminal, and you call a mechanic to actually do that, and you pay him a lot of money for something you would have done simply, and you've wasted a lot of time when this mechanic coming to tell you something that simple. So always do that. Third thing, very, very important. Always, before you leave your places of residence, check your vehicle. Check it in the morning. Check the oil. Check the coolant. Check the oil, the hydraulic levels in the gearbox and the steering pump. Checking would really not take a lot of your time. It takes 2 minutes to check all these things. 2 minutes to see they are at level before you actually start driving. And also, this gives you an idea of, when I actually hit the road, this is what I'm driving. Gives you that confidence of, when I hit the road, it actually just, you know what you're driving. So that if something goes wrong with one of those, you know exactly the point to start to look for. Like, you know what to start to look for, because if you've checked your vehicle, if you've checked, let's say, your engine oil, and it brings up the oil pressure light on the dashboard, just know maybe you hit a rock and now just damaged the crankcase. Because if you checked and the oil was at level and it damaged the crankcase, you get the point. Yeah. So anyway, these are the simple steps you should really be taking to have a comfortable life with an automobile. And basically, this goes all around with any machine, a bike or a car. It's basic knowledge that you need to really go around, because sometimes you don't really need to frustrate yourself, like, oh my god, I bought an old vehicle and it's breaking down because it's old. Sometimes it just needs your attention. Just like a human being goes to the doctor for a checkup, you need to just be constantly checking up on this vehicle. These cars are machines. That means they're built to last. They're not built to just dig a hole in your pocket. See you next episode. Thank you for listening in. I remain Kelvin from Chronicles.